Aloha, awesome people, and welcome to another podcast discussion video in regards to Pokemon Moon and Sun. And hallelujah, I don't need to put a disclaimer at the front of this podcast as we finally have some solid information in regards to the game. While it may not be much, it's still something. So let's start off with the first fact, and that is the release date for those who are wondering. So if you're living in Europe, unfortunately, it looks like Game Freak or the Pokemon Company or whoever is behind this action has a bit of a vendetta against you. Your release date will be the 23rd of November, whilst Japan, Australia and the US will be beginning on the 18th of November. As I said, I have no idea why that's the case, but it appears you have some type of person who really hates the Europeans. 5 days of no internet, no YouTube, no nothing. If you don't want to get spoiled, that is really rough. So, I feel really sorry. This has happened again. I can't remember if it happened in X and Y, but it definitely happened in Oris, and it's happening again for Sun and Moon. I truly do feel sorry for you guys. That is really rough, and I have no idea why that's happening. So I guess we move from depressing news to some good news, and we finally have confirmation of our starter type Pokemon. And this is interesting because the last time I actually felt like this about the starter type Pokemon was 5th gen. So maybe the same thing will happen like I did in 5th gen. I'll slowly get attached to these starter type Pokemon. I'm kind of hoping I do. So let me introduce you to the 3 starter type Pokemon. So first off, we have Rowlet, who is a grass flying type Pokemon. Pretty interesting fact here is the last time we had a dual type Pokemon was Bulbasaur back in Generation 1. Poor thing always gets forgotten, doesn't it? So yeah, very interesting. We have a grass flying type straight off the bat. And another thing that's interesting about Rowlet is, unlike the previous grass type Pokemon, it doesn't learn Razor Leaf. In fact, there is a few things that could happen here. From what I could see in the trailer, it's definitely a new move. So it's been confirmed that the line learns Leafage. Now, I'm not too sure if the move used in the trailer was actually Leafage or if it's another move. So my guesses here is Leafage will probably be our next dual type move, kind of similar to Flying Press, which was Haluncha's signature move, which was Flying. So this could probably be a grass flying type move if possible. So that'd be really cool if we get a dual type starter move, I guess you kind of call it. So the other 2 Pokemon, Litten and Popplio, I do apologize if I actually butchered Popplio's name. I don't even know if that's how you actually pronounce it, or even Rowlet's name, because I haven't heard him yet in English. I'm just going to make assumptions that's how you pronounce it. But anyways, in regards to those 2 Pokemon, they're still getting their usual moves, Water Gun and Ember. That is definitely confirmed. And their abilities are still the same. So we have Overgrow on Rowlet, Litten will have Blaze, and Popplio will have Torrent as its abilities. Now, in regards to Litten and Popplio, I'm assuming these 2 will probably get their signature moves down the track. Although it looks like, from what I could tell on the Japanese website, Popplio may already have its signature type move, but they're not going to release as of yet what its name will be. So in the pictures that we actually see of it, and in the Japanese information as well, they show Popplio using a water balloon like move. So in one of the pictures, they actually have Popplio using like this huge bubble to capture the Rowlet. So that's going to be really cool. Like, at the moment, people are speculation that Popplio will evolve into a water fighting type Pokemon. But having inspected the Japanese website, I'm speculating that it will probably evolve into a water flying type Pokemon, using the water balloons as its method of flying. It sounds so comical though when I say it like that, flying around on a water balloon. It's comical, but I want to see it. That sounds so cool. As for Litten, I kind of agree with everyone else. Fire Dark type really does sound like a possible evolution. I'm kind of glad it's not fire fighting because I'm kind of over it. I was over that in 4th generation. I was kind of glad at 6th generation's Delphox was fire psychic, thankfully. we got something different. So I'm hoping in Pokemon Sun and Moon, we do get a fire dark type. I mean, if it's a dark type, it's kind of going to be an instant like for me because I definitely do like my dark type Pokemon. Other than that, I kind of don't know anything else about these starter Pokemon. All we know is their name, their moves, and their abilities, as well as their height and weight and what they're based on. So Litten was the Fire Cat Pokemon, Rowlet was the Grass Quill Pokemon, and Poplio is the Sea Lion Pokemon. And at the moment we only really know that Poplio is based on a Sea Lion Pokemon. But the other thing that is quite interesting about Poplio is it is actually based on the Hawaiian monk seal in regards to its name. So maybe it will grow into something very similar to the Hawaiian monk seal. That would be really cool. I mean, it would probably give us more of an idea what its final evolution will look like if it remains down that line. I mean, it could spread out into something very, very unique that isn't quite like this world, but who knows? It's Game Freak. Anything could really happen there. But other than that, that's all we really know about the starter type Pokemon. People were like going crazy over Litten, I think because of the fire type culture and the cat culture as well. It's kind of like a combination into two to make like one mega culture. So I'd assume most people would play through with Litten as their starter type Pokemon. As for myself, as I said, I'm kind of hoping I grow onto these Pokemon, but if I was to choose at this point in time, I definitely go with Rowlet, purely because of how unique it is at this point in time, being a grass flying type Pokemon, having a new move as well, which could possibly be a dual type. This is just me speculation, of course. And just the fact it kind of looks like the cutest out of all of them. But I'm not going to make any actually say an actual comment there and say, oh, I'm going to use this Pokemon until I either get more information about their final evolutions. Otherwise, I'll be Rowlet if we don't get anything in regards to that. I'm kind of not holding my breath if we're going to get any more info in regards to the starters, given that the information pool has been quite minimal. I mean, we're in merely mid-May now, we've only just gotten info. So I'm not holding my breath if we're going to get any more info about the starters. If we do, that'd be bloody awesome. Other than that, can't really say. So that's pretty much all I can talk about the starter type Pokemon. So let's move on to what the actual region we're dealing with is. Now, the region name has been called Alola. The reason why that might sound weird when I said it is because I'm not really too sure if I'm saying that right. Alola. I do know it's been confirmed it's based on the Hawaiian Islands, which is real life. It's, from what I can remember, it's the second largest islands or third largest islands, coming behind New Zealand, which is really cool. So we're slowly getting closer to Australia. Keep moving. We'll slowly get there and we'll realise Australia's potential. As I said, I'm not really too sure what Game Freak can get out of Australia, but it's kind of a dream to see Australia get turned into a Pokemon region. It'd be so cool, but here I am digressing. So in the Japanese trailer and the English trailer as well, I don't know if a lot of people knew that there was two trailers for Pokemon Sun and Moon. We had a real action Japanese trailer, which was really cool to see. It's kind of looks like it's painting the picture for what the game's going to start out like. And then we had the English trailer, which pretty much just showed us the starter type Pokemon and a few clips from the game, and obviously the whole warning being that these aren't going to be the final images we'll see in the game. So going from that, I'll go from the Japanese trailer first because that showed the most. So it's a Japanese kid who's been transferred to Hawaii. So I'm assuming the main character in the Pokemon games is going to move to Hawaii, very similar to how we've had in Ruby and Sapphire, I think in 4th generation as well. All these people move there and then they start their Pokemon adventure. So our main protagonist is apparently the cousin of the professor, whose name is Professor Kukui. I feel I butchered that name, but I do apologise. But anyways, the professor's name is actually based on the tree called the Kukui. I'm going to just probably put the name on the screen so you can all laugh at my pronunciation. But anyways, it's the state tree of Hawaii. And another fact that you can probably take for the day is it's also known as the candle nut tree due to the fact that the nuts of this tree were used for candles by early settlers. And enjoy that factoid for today because it's not very often I kind of give facts in these podcasts. But anyways, so the professor name has been confirmed. I honestly thought we'd get Professor Palm. Slightly disappointed that they didn't go with that, but I guess that kind of was an easy one to use. So another thing we also see in the trailer as well is the person who gives us our Pokemon. Now, I'm not too sure if the person giving us our Pokemon is a gym leader of some sort. He looks like he might be some type of important figure. Otherwise, he's a Pokemon professor assistant, and his name is Hala. Now, I'm not too sure if that's the Japanese name or the English name. I don't really know where they got this or if I missed something when I was looking over the trailers. So yeah, we know the professor's name and the person who gives us our Pokemon. And another thing I just thought of them actually was he could be like the professor assistant in X and Y. He could also be another one going on the adventure. So we saw obviously who looks like he's going to be our rival, and in the Japanese trailer they named him Hoku. Now I'm not too sure if this is going to transfer to the game as the possible rival name. That will definitely be for the Japanese name, so if they're going to translate that into something else or keep it, I'm going to probably expect Hoku. Now, as I was saying about Hala, he could be another rival that we could get, seeing how in 5th gen and in 6th gen we had two rivals. One was obviously going to be trying to be the Pokemon champion, and the other one was just like I kind of guess the beginner who had just thought catch all the cute Pokemon, kind of like that. So I don't know, we may get something like that again, but unfortunately my first impressions is unfortunately, oh no, we're going to have another one of these friendly rivals. Nothing like the old rivals. I mean, kind of one of the main reasons why I haven't been enjoying the story plot as much as I used to. I mean, think back to Generation 1. I mean, this is going to tangent off a little bit, but I'm kind of hoping the rival makes some type of impact. I mean, think back to Generation 1. We had Blue or Gary, whoever you called him, the various named trainer. He made such an impact because he was like, smell you later, oh, you suck, I'm gonna be the Pokemon master, but for you, are you just gonna fail? Then in Generation 2, we had Silver, who was Giovanni's son, as confirmed later down the track. He stole a Pokemon, so you had a reason to hate him. Same with Gary, because he insulted you so much. You had a reason to hate him. So he had a reason to be a rival. In Generation 3, we had Wally, who didn't seem like much at the beginning, but at the end turned out to be quite badass. Definitely, indeed, the title of a rival. Someone who definitely made you push much harder, especially if you didn't train very hard at the end. I know it's quite hard to explain Wally because he had a bit of a unique growth there. Otherwise, it was the professor's assistant who, I don't know, he was a bit of a pushover. Can't really say much about 3rd gen's rivals very well. And then we had 4th gen, we had Wally. Not Wally, Barry. Good old Barry, I'm confused with Wally. He was pretty much living in his father's shadow, and he was always like erratic, running around, like didn't know what he's going to do, running into people. Like, he left a mark. All those rivals left some type of mark. As in 5th gen though, and 6th gen, the rivals have failed to leave a mark, and I'm hoping the 7th gen rival leaves some type of mark, otherwise it's going to be some type of forgotten rival again. Kind of like how, Bianca and Sharon, I'm lucky I've remembered their names because I've played through 5th gen so many times, and I can't remember the 6th generation rivals at all because they left no mark on me. This is what happens when they don't leave a mark. They get forgotten, and I don't care. Like, it really does ruin the plot in a way. So I am really hoping this rival leaves some type of mark, but the impressions I got from the trailer aren't looking good so far. It looks too friendly. He's not a Blue, he's not a Silver. Please don't do this to me, Game Freak. It's alright, I kind of talked about the rivals a bit longer than I thought I would. So let's go into a few more features that we saw in the game. So far in the Japanese trailer, we kind of had the confirmation that customization looks like it's coming back. That is probably the best thing that I've heard so far, is customization coming back. It is something that I didn't think I would miss, but I did. I missed it quite a lot in Oris, and it really did make me quite thankful that X and Y is definitely involving the RPG element of the Pokemon game. So Unlike X and Y though, we are getting 4 skin variants. So we have like your pale white skin, not ever leaving the house skin color. Then you have your normal skin tone color, then a slightly darker color, and then darker color again. So we have 4 variations instead of the 3 that you're given in X and Y. Now apparently there was some slight variation in the shirts and shorts shown in the trailer as well. It's either I'm going blind or I didn't notice them in both the trailers. I did watch the trailers a couple of times, seeing if I can spot it out, but I could not see the difference. It's either, as I said, I'm either going blind or I just could not see them. So I don't know. It's almost looking like customization is coming back, and I am truly hoping that it's going to be a little bit more deeper than what X and Y was. X and Y did make a really good staple start to the whole customization part, and I do welcome that back with open arms. I'm hoping they make it even further, because I think I might have mentioned in one of my podcasts already that one thing that I truly do love in my RPGs, and as we all know Pokemon is an RPG, is customization. And I'm kind of hoping they take it further as well, not just the trainer. I think this might be pushing it a little bit, but I'd like to see some customization in our Pokemon as well, being able to wear some type of ribbons or something that makes our Pokemon feel unique and our own. And that was something I truly did give a bit of a gold star to in X and Y, because in Oris, I don't know if any other people felt like this, but in your trainer, you didn't feel unique. You didn't feel like you. Whereas in X and Y, you had your own trainer that could look like you or look like a persona. It did feel really unique. So as I said, I do welcome this feature back with big open arms. Other than that, there was something else that I did see in the trailer as well, and that is when the Japanese boy is playing the DS, and it looks like the opening scene, kind of similar to Oris, where we see Professor Elm on the Pokey device thingy-jiggy. I'm blanking already. So yeah, we kind of see it very similar to like the 5th generation mechanic as well, where you could see people on video. So it looks like that's coming back as well. So it kind of looks like the professor's on the screen, and we can already see 2 options there. So it looks like either that might become the top screen. Actually, it's weird though, I just noticed that. It's on the top screen instead of the bottom screen. So I'm assuming that may become the bottom screen eventually down the track, or they're going to swap around. But that looks like an options button, a video option, and a photo option. So yeah, that's really interesting. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with that, if that's going to become like the thing that we had in 5th generation. But yeah, I kind of want to see what this evolves into. But as I said, that kind of looks like the opening scene, because you can see there it's got like a minus, full screen, and a close button, very similar to a computer. So this option is really cool. And as I said, that those buttons on the side there looks like may end up becoming either our menu, or this is something completely different and I'm just blowing this completely out of proportion. So yeah, that's something else that I noticed that could be a new feature. And another thing as well, I know too many people don't make comment about this, was the graphics engine used for Sun and Moon is definitely an improvement on X and Y. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this game plays. My only concern with the graphic update is how much lag are we going to get? Anyone who saw the Horde of Trevenants in X and Y, and I think there was a few other times as well in Oris as well, where the game would just completely lag up and start dropping frames. So I'm hoping this new improvement in their engine either cuts out the lag or it's going to cause more lag. That's my only concern with this. I'm hoping they've fixed it, because otherwise it's going to lag. I mean, even when I can take an example from the recent double battle I did, actually, Mega Blaziken came on the field and my whole game lagged. So I'm hoping that issue's been fixed as well, because that's a bit of a pain in the rear side. Alrighty, I think I've talked enough about that. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss out on anything else in regards to features. So let's move on to the other important feature that we saw. Was we finally got an idea of what our legendaries look like. So we have a lion legendary for Sun, and for Moon we have a bat-like legendary Pokemon. It kind of actually puts my mind on Evantool. It really does. It's got like all these stars on it, and it's got skeleton-like wings, and it looks like Yvantal, but lunar-like. So, all I can really say at the moment is the Sun Legendary looks awesome. The design, that is such a badass design. It is so cool, but I don't know about the Moon Legendary at this point in time. Kind of give me a few months as well, similar to the starters, and talk to me about it. But in the English trailer was indeed interesting, because in a Japanese trailer I actually saw something that I don't think a lot of people actually might have seen, and I'll get to that in a second. But in the English trailer, when we get a close-up on the Sun Legendary, and I'm going to have to call it that for now because we don't have a name or anything for them, but when we get a close-up, the Sun logo actually pops up on his head. Now, I'm not too sure if this is going to signify that we're going to get something like Primal Evolution, similar to how Primal Kyogre and Primal Groudon went about with the Red Orb and Blue Orb. During their Primal Evolution, that you had the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire logo pop up. So when we get the close-up of the Sun Legendary, the same thing happens there. We have our Sun logo pop up. As for the Moon Legendary, I couldn't see a Moon logo as per se, because it was quite hard to see because it was charging up something like Hyper Beam or something, so the screen went really bright. I'm not too sure if they're going to take these Legendaries even further into like an evolution of some sort, but it's still going to be cool regardless. And the reason why I bring this up is because when I mentioned in one of my previous podcasts, if we're going to move to a new generation, usually a new mechanic comes along with it. Now, I'm not sure if the new mechanic is going to evolve the Legendaries, but it's still a thought. Are these Legendaries going to go even further? If they do, that is pretty cool, but at this point in time, I see no evidence in the trailer that we are going to get more evolutions. And I'll now move on to the Japanese trailer that some people might have missed. When the boy was actually going to the video shop, there was 2 TVs playing in the window, and it looks like the Pokemon might be using their signature moves there. For the Sun Legendary, that looks so dangerous, but at the same time it might be a charge up move. It looks like the Sun Legendary jumps up in the air, charge up this big fireball, and then launches it like a Hyper Beam. It looks so cool. I can't actually wait to see that animation. And as for the Moon Legendary, I am really afraid because that looks like Geomancy being played. It kind of looks like the same animation. It's kind of like Geomancy and Cosmic Power combined into one. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping it's just like another attack and it's not another Geomancy, because that move is just, it's so annoying. Like I was going to say broken, but it's not quite as broken as I would think in my head. But anyways, like I'm kind of hoping they don't introduce another Geomancy in the game, because that would put this Pokemon quite high in the tiers competitively. But anyways, people are speculation in regards to types. For the Sun Legendary, we have Fire Psychic, and the Moon Legendary being Psychic Flying. I truly hope these aren't Psychic types. I really do, because we've got so many Psychic Legendaries as it is. It's a bit of a bore, a bit of a snore. I'd like to see something unique. So I'm going to say for the Sun Legendary, Fire Ground or Fire Rock. And the reason why I say that is because when I was doing some research in regards to Hawaiian mythology, trying to figure out what these 2 Legendaries were based on, I did find a legend that it could possibly be based around. As for the Moon Legendary, don't ask, because I couldn't find anything in regards to this Pokemon at all what it could be based on. I kind of came to a blank, so I don't know what the Moon Legendary is based on. I kind of have to wait until we get a little bit more info in regards to this Pokemon. But for the Sun Legendary, I found a legend called the Legend of the Crouching Lion. Now, I couldn't find any more information in regards to this, but the reason why I say Fire Sun, that's a fail. Fire Ground or Fire Rock is because in real life Hawaii there is actually a cliff, and on the cliff is a rock figure or a stone figure of what looks like a lion, and there's a legend that goes with it. And I'm going to read that legend now. Disclaimer, I am going to completely butcher some of the names that feature in this story, so I do apologize. So the Legend of the Crouching Lion goes as so. At the edge of Kahana Bay, on the ridge bordering the shore, the figure of what appears to be a resting lion is silhouetted against the sky. It is believed to be far out. I'll start that again. It is believed to really be an ancient god who has been chained to the cliff in that position for 100 years. Many years ago, Kuhai was sent from distant Kahiki to be the watchman on the cliff. His full name was Kahi Kiai Maki o Kalani, or simply the Watchtower of the Heavens. He was a stranger and was not welcomed when he took his position as guard. He mourned but kept his vigil faithfully. But as the years passed, the trees of Kuhai around him slowly covered his limbs and almost hid his face. From a distance, it appears as though his body had merged with the rocks around him. One day, Hayaki, the goddess, Pao's younger sister, passed on her way home for Kuhai. Seeing Kuhai, she stopped and awakened him. Seeing the beautiful goddess, Kuhai longed to join her and plead to free him freed of his monotonous assignment. But Hayaki refused, and Kuhai was overcome with a burning anger. He lifted his body, wrenched it away and from the binding trees and earth of which he had become a part, crouching to his knees at the top of the ridge. But after the many years of inactivity, the effort was too much for him. His strength ebbed away and he remained in the crouching position as he still does today. The Watchtower of Heaven turned to stone in the form of a lion. That is the Hawaiian legend of the crouching lion, and that's the only legend or mythology that I could find in regards to a lion. So this is what I do believe will be what the Sun Legendary is based on, because Hayaki, the goddess who came and saw him, who is the younger sister of Pale, who is actually the goddess of volcanoes. So it's kind of giving me that whole vibe that this is probably what the legend is based on. I could be completely wrong here, it could be based on something else, but that's the only thing I could find in regards to the Sun Legendary that could be a possible origin story. I mean, it sounds so cool too. I mean, a lion in stone on a cliff, seen by a goddess, got so angry that he, because of all that time sitting there, didn't free him, got angry, but because of how the lackluster energy he had, he couldn't get away from the cliff. I explained that so badly just then. So yeah, like we could get a legendary part of who's been sitting there for thousands of years. The evil guys could try and revive him and use him for evil. And I'm going to get into what they might try and do with the legendaries too in a second as well. So at the moment, that's all we really know about the legendaries. We don't know their name, we don't know their type, we don't know their abilities, we don't know anything about their moves either. So at the moment, we know what they look like. That's about it. So as I said, the Sun Legendary looks awesome. That's all I can really say. So the only thing that's really left for me to explain is what the actual regions, like some significant features that could possibly be used in the game. So we had, at the start, we had a particular mountain that they showed on in a Japanese trailer, but it's also seen in the game as well. And that is a crater known as Diamond Head. Now this is on the same island as well that the game will be based around, the island of Oahu. And in real life, it's actually home to a military base as well. And that could possibly be home to like either some vigilantes, or it could even be home to like the evil villains as well. And another reason why I brought this up as an actual fact is because at the moment it's a dormant volcano. It's been there for 200,000 years, but it's been dormant for 150,000 years. It's believed to be an event, not a volcano, and it's thought to have been created by a volcanic eruption from Mount Kalala volcano. Yeah, I definitely butchered that one too. So we could possibly get a plotline revolving around volcanoes where the evil villains try and revive these legendaries to try and set off some volcanic eruptions. Or some type of tsunamis, because the moon is supposed to control the tides and everything. So I don't know if the moon story will be something different and the sun story will be something different as well. Honestly, if they don't include the eclipse or something, I'm going to be really disappointed. I truly am. But anyways, that's another story. Alright, so real life Hawaii has lots of islands with volcanoes that stretch 2,700 kilometers or 17 miles, 1,700 miles in the northwest direction. So the reason why I brought up the idea that the evil villains could be using volcanoes to try and destroy the island is because Hawaii is just made up of so many volcanoes. Some are still active to this day. That could be a thing, so we could possibly get a plotline that revolves around a volcano erupting and destroying some islands. It'd be sad, kind of similar to what happened in 2nd Gen, where Cinnabar Island was wiped out from a Cinnabar volcano erupting. So that could be a thing as well. And because of that, because of how many islands there are as well, it could possibly mean we could be traveling by boat to each island as well. I mean, I know there was like theories popping up about Orange Islands being a thing. I'm not going to say Orange Islands as well. I'd say something very similar to the Sevi Islands in Fire Red and Leaf Green. That could possibly be a thing. The Sevi Islands, I don't know. Like, when I think back to the Sevi Islands, like, that's the way I'm thinking that this game could work around. We could be traveling around through boat to get to each island. Each island could have a gym. I'm assuming that's how it's going to work. And Elite Four could be like on top of a volcano or something, like a dormant volcano that hasn't erupted in like millions of years or something. That's how I'm assuming it's going to work. Another feature I found quite interesting in regards to some of the islands or their mountains as well was in Hawaiian mythology, one of the islands of Hawaii, I know it's a different spelling to Hawaii itself. There is a mountain called Mauna Kea, and it's the most sacred mountain of them all. And ancient lore states that only the high-ranking Ali, who were an ancient tribe who lived off the forests of the slopes of this mountain, were allowed to visit the peak. And the only reason why I say that and bring it up is because when you look back to when they show off the legendaries, in the background we have the logo of Sun and Moon being shown. Now, I don't know if this will be in the final game as well, because as I've already mentioned in the trailer, they do say this is not going to be the final images seen in the game. So it's also a thing as well that they could probably use Mauna Kea as the location of the legendary Pokemon. Now, to quickly wrap up my podcast, because this is kind of going on in time, I'm kind of hoping I didn't miss anything, was one of the islands, not really an island, sorry, it's kind of a shoal, it's called the French Frigate Shoals, could possibly link back to Kalos in a way, kind of similar to how Black and White 2 worked. This is where I'm like, I don't know, 95% of my brain is saying this is 7th Gen, but 5% of my brain is saying, nah, this is going to be a sequel to X and Y. And as I said, the reason why I'm thinking that is because of, like, we're still on so little amount of information. And at the same time, I have read that Masuda has actually said he wants to wrap up X and Y or 6th generation in an interesting way. So I still got that part of me that's like, nah, this is going to be a sequel to X and Y. And this is kind of where I'm going to make that link, is with this shoals or some type of boat that leads back to Kalos. So this is the part of the video where I say this is speculation, take it with a grain of salt, or leave your thoughts in regards to this as well. So anyways, the shoals, before I do go on as well, it's like, even this is nothing to do with Kalos, I'm still going to bring up as information because this could lead into something for an after game as well. So anyways, these shoals were named after a French explorer, Jean-Francois de la Prousse, butchered that as well, I'm so sorry, who nearly lost 2 frigates when exploring the shoals. So in real life, there is multiple islands. We have Shark Island, Turn Island, Trig Island, Skate Island, Whale Island, Disappearing Island, Little Gin Island, Near Island, Bear Island, Eat Island, Mullet Island, and Round Island. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because each of these islands could possibly be home to another legendary. So if you think back to Black and White 2, or even Heart Gold, Soul Silver, or even Platinum, I think that might be pushing it now, going back that far because there wasn't too many legendaries, but mainly Black and White 2, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Oris. We had a lot of legendaries popping up. So if this is a possible sequel in a way, I can't really include Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Oris in that fact since it's not a sequel, but mainly Black and White 2, it had a lot of legendaries featured. So if these islands from the shoals were to pop up, each of these islands could possibly home to another legendary. If it's nothing to do with X and Y at all, I do pray if they do use the shoals and all these islands, we actually have a decent aftergame. Otherwise, let these islands be Battle Frontier. Game Freak did work on Battle Frontier for Oris, so I'm hoping they bring it into this game. I nearly forgot about the Battle Frontier, but I'm hoping that actually is a feature somewhere in Pokemon Moon and Sun. If not part of this, then let it be somewhere else. But it is interesting, like, they have a chance here to use multiple islands for legendary homes. And the last thing that the shoals also feature is La Pesure Pinnacle, which is the oldest and most remote volcanic rock in the Hawaiian chain, standing at 120 feet, 37 meters tall, and surrounded by a coral reef, and is often mistaken as a ship from a distance. This could possibly make us some type of plot point as well, or some type of something's going to happen there. I don't know, like, it seemed like something that was popping up quite a lot when I was reading up about Hawaii, so hence why I mentioned it. It's probably going to be used somewhere in the game. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much all I have at this point in time. I know this dragged out for quite a lot. If you've stuck with me for all this point in time, thank you so much. Oh, bugger, I'd missed the point. I was just reading through my notes and I just missed that one point. I was going to bring it up when I was talking about Diamond Head, or any type of volcanic dormant volcano was on Diamond Head as well, about the military base. This could possibly be home to, like, the villains or something. That'd be really cool. I want to see, like, villains on top of a volcano or inside of a volcano. That'd be so awesome. But anyways, guys, that's all I wanted to mention. Hopefully we get some more information about the game in the upcoming weeks, or hopefully in the next month or two. That's if Game Freak wants to play nice and show us some information, because now that I know what we've got a taste of it, we want more. Otherwise, I'm going to be fine with being left in the dark. The more I don't know, possibly the more hyped I'm going to be when the game actually comes out. So anyways, guys, if you have any more thoughts you want to add to this, leave them in the comment section below. I'd like to see what you guys think. And until next time, this is Lady KrimZen, who's nearly out of breath, saying ciao for now, but not forever. Ciao!